welcome back to my channel. My name is Elena and today I'm going to be doing a bookshelf tour. I actually wanted to do this video because a few months ago I really got into Steph Broer's channel and I started like deep diving back into her old videos too, and I saw she had a bookshelf tour. I vibed with it. I liked it. And then I was like, well, why don't I do that? Do I have as many books as her? No. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you everything on the shelf, including some of the little knickknacks that you see up there. This is a random macrame plant hanger and I put a fake plant in it. I actually stole that from that big one right there. Up here we have my lovely cowgirl hat. I bring her everywhere with me. Over here we have two candles. This first one is a Capricorn candle. I got this candle, I think in Michigan. We lower down to the second shelf. This is some random thing I got thrifting. You put like, well, I put a bunch of rocks in there. Next, I got this in Florida like in 2017. Why is she flickering? I never even have her on. Anyways, that's a green neon cactus trinket that my mom, it's honestly really stunning when it spins. My mom got me that. Next is this piece of bark I just recently got at the beach. Middle, I am separating two categories of books, which I'll go over with these tarot cards. From my mom, this is Live Life to the Fullest. I have this vase I thrifted. Okay, that was all the trinkets. Sweating. Water, I need water. The Boys of 67. Skipping over to this Natalie Wood book. It's by Suzanne Feinstead. It is a biography on Natalie Wood. If you don't know who Natalie Wood is, she's a very famous actress. For context, that is Natalie Wood. What's Mine and Yours? It ends with us, Colleen Hoover. We're gonna go all the way down this way. Right behind here, I have my college diploma. Hey, bachelor's. I have Things We Never Got Over. Lucy's Score. 1 out of kind of 3 because the characters in it are all connected, but this first one is a Enemies to Lovers. Next, we have Emily Henry. So we have Book Lovers, People We Meet on Vacation, Beach Read. These are all either enemy or friends to lovers. So Beach Read and Book Lovers are both enemies to lovers. And Book Lovers, I was iffy about, like, I'll keep it just because, hey, I got the other two and I want to get Happy Place. Book Lovers, I did not like at all. I actually had to force myself to finish it. Beach Read, I absolutely loved. It was the first one I read. Its favorite is People We Meet on Vacation, just because it would go from present into back in time, and I just really liked the way it was written. Girl Child. So this one is, it's not really romance at all, but it fit more on this than any of the other shelves I have. They kind of written in a bit of a poetry form. We liked that, but it essentially follows a young girl who is abused and is living in poverty in a trailer park right outside of Las Vegas. I love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. The way it was written is just not my cup of tea. It wasn't steamy until one chapter and I just wasn't a fan of it. Let me tell you, the kiss quotient. Let me take her out for you. This had to be one of the most steamiest books I have ever read. And I don't know if you're into steamy books and if this will be good enough for you, but man, oh man, was it good enough for me. Next is the Soulmate Equation. I kind of like this one. The ending I didn't care for. It got really old after a while. Is this man makes this company, but essentially the company matches your DNA to find your soulmate. So this other female character in it, she does a test and she gets matched with the male CEO and they fall in love. Verity by Colleen Hoover. I would say this was quite like the jaw-dropping. It was a thriller, but in the sense of a romance thriller. They Both Die Then. It's basically about a reality in which 24 hours before you die, so you get like texts like, hey, you're gonna die. They call you, they tell you that you're gonna die, but they don't tell you how or when. Family of Liars, the second book. The first one is We Are Liars. I have like no idea where it is. We Were Liars is about a bunch of cousins whose family in the summers grew up on the Cape, or was it Martha's Vineyard? Same thing? Anyways, their family grew up on the Cape in the summers and it's just very mysterious, like something really bad and big happened, but the main character doesn't really remember it. This one is also really good. This one had quite the twist, something you didn't see coming. I thought this one was so good. We Run the Tides is essentially set in like the early 80s. It's about two girls who are best friends and they stop being best friends, and then one of the girls goes missing, but then she is found, but like she's clearly lying. And the other friend knows it, but it just follows the drama of all of that, but it is really interesting. I think it's a really good book. Shimmering State, this like rehab center that helps you forget bad things that have happened to you and trauma by giving you a certain drug. Next, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books are all Sarah Addison Allen books. I love her. Each of them, there's like a bit of magic involved. So if you like practical magic, for example, then you should definitely read these books. There's some kind of magic into these, and they're always set in either North or South Carolina. This shelf is divided into 2 sections. Over here, we have self-care for a Capricorn. All these things you can do that are good for what your sun sign is, and mine is Capricorn. We have Miguel Ruiz. We have The Mastery of Love and the 4 Agreements. I feel like a lot of people know about the 4 Agreements. The Alchemist. I kind of liked this book. First off, the artwork of it, I just think is what's really eye-catching. I feel like it is like a really good book to read just to get some life lessons on. Also have some tarot cards. So this is a guide to tarot cards. I next have Some Things Happening Here. So I didn't really know where to put this one. The man, his name is Mark Berger. It kind of goes through, as you can see, a 60s odyssey from Brooklyn to Woodstock. He grew up in Brooklyn. It's about his journey going to Woodstock, the infamous, amazing festival that we all know and wish we were at. Art of Not Giving a Beep. I'd say it, but I work in HR. I need to reread this book as well because lately I've been giving too much of a you-know-what and caring too much. I am a person that cares too much, and it's a shame because yeah. I next have 2 books by Yasmin Boland. One is Astrology Made Easy and one is Moonology. So the astrology one just kind of goes through your birth chart. Moonology is all based on the phases of the moon and just essentially based on your birth chart what this means during the phases of the moon and like how you can kind of manifest during the phases of the moon. And then I got this other astrology book, What's Your Soul Sign? So it's astrology for waking up, transforming, and living a high vibe life. It's by Debbie Frank. Utopia. This actually my friend got me a few years ago, and I thought it was really good. Just, you know, it was just all about like how to choose your relationships wisely, listen to your dreams, spend time in nature. I really enjoyed this book. This is my true crime books. So we have on this side Member of the Family. This is by Diane Lake. She was actually a member of the Manson family, by a guy named Gary L. Stewart. He essentially thinks his father was the Zodiac killer. There's no proof. I do think it's interesting. I do think this man was up to no good and did stuff, but I don't think he was essentially the Zodiac killer. The Babysitter, my friend, got me this for my birthday. I just recently read it. It's by Liza Rodman, who is actually the girl in this book, and Jennifer Jordan. So Liza Rodman grew up as a child in the 60s, and her mom would get summer jobs at some motels and places on the Cape at P-Town, and babysat by this guy named Tony Costa, who ended up being the Cape Cod vampire. He murdered some girls in the most gruesome way. Next is Girls of a Tender Age. This one actually, weirdly enough, means a lot to me. My mom got it for me because this girl grew up in the Charter Oak territory of Hartford, Connecticut. My grandmother at the same time grew up in that area. What I think is interesting is in this, it's just Girls of a Tender Age. It just goes through just a lot of the sad things that were happening at the time to families and girls in that living situation, low income. Reading it really reminded me of my own grandmother. It's about this serial rapist, but he ends up killing this one girl because she says, I'm gonna tell my mom, so then he kills her. It's a crazy story. Stay sexy, don't get murdered. This is like the autobiography of Karen Kilgariff and Georgia Herstark. I really enjoyed reading this. I do not listen to their podcast anymore. Dancing with the Octopus. I got this in Michigan, finally read it like this past fall, I think. It's about Deborah Harding. It's essentially her story of how she was kidnapped and raped and how her family just basically ignored it. And then next we have books by Leslie Rule, who is Anne Rule's daughter. It's Ghosts Among Us, Coast to Coast Ghosts, When the Ghost Screams, all about ghost stories. Haunted Hikes, that was really interesting. Connecticut Ghost Stories and Legends, that one's really good too because I live in the state of Connecticut. Wicked Strange. This is a book my mom got, and it's essentially about New England's like best like folklore and stuff like that, or like legends. And then lastly we have Encyclopedia of Haunted Places. This one's really good. The 3rd place listed in this is the Benton Homestead in my hometown of Tallinn, Connecticut. I have a book that was passed down to me from my sister, The Diary of a Young Girl. We all know it, Anne Frank. If you've never read this, I feel like it was a requirement in school, but if you've never read this, read it. It's very eye-opening, also very sad. I had this for years. Like I was a child reading this. Like I was like 11 and I was like, oh yeah, Little Woman. But I do love the book Little Woman. I haven't read it in a while. I feel like a lot of people know about Little Woman, so there's that. I so suggest this book. If you're obsessed with the Romanovs, get this book. It's called The Kitchen Boy. It's a fictional story, but it's obviously based around the true story of the Romanovs, so it's a mix of true facts mixed with some fictional characters. Next I have this book. This is fictional. It's called Roxana Slade. It's based, first starts out in like 1921 and goes through like the next 90 years of Roxana Slade, the woman's life. The House of Seven Gables, The Girl Who Came Home. I absolutely love this book and I need to reread it again. It is essentially a novel of the Titanic. It's fictional. Obviously there's true facts mixed in because it's about the Titanic. It's by Hazel Gaynor and it's essentially about a fictional young woman. I believe she's Irish. She's in her early 20s and she's coming to America for a better life, and I think she either is trying to meet her sweetheart here or she left him behind in Ireland, I forget. Power of Scenery. It's about the national park system and just essentially how they're created, but it goes into so much detail. This one I think is from 1911. Essentially he comes across, the man in this comes across this like cult of Mormons essentially. He's trying to find this young girl who was taken at a young age, and it's confusing to describe, honestly. I thought it was really cool to read. Next we have this book from, I believe, I should look at it, but it's from the early 50s. It's about the Russian Revolution. Next we have Jane Austen's 7 novels. I got this in high school from my aunt. It was like a present. First off, stunning artwork. It's very stunning. Agatha Christie, Murder on the Orient Express. I got Hemingway, the stories. So this is a collection of all of Ernest Hemingway stories. This is essentially like all my biographies. So, quick and simple, make it easy. Dolly Parton. This is just essentially little quotes of Dolly Parton. Here I have The Love You Make. It's essentially the story of the Beatles. I thought it was really good. The biography of Linda Ronstadt. It's called Simple Dream. Next is I, Rhoda. It's the biography or autobiography of Valerie Harper. So Valerie Harper played Rhoda Morgenstern in the TV show Mary Tyler Moore. I think she's one of the greatest supporting actresses of all time and supporting characters, and I just thought her story was really interesting and just what she had experienced in Hollywood. Shania Twain. I have not read that yet, I don't think, or I did and I skimmed it years ago. Better read it because I'm seeing her July 1st. Trixie and Katya's Guide to Modern Womanhood. Yeah, the one and the only Tracy Martell and Katya. Moving on, Eleanor. This is a biography by David Michaelis. Oh, I turned up the lighting and I guess that's better. 50 Places to See Before You Die. It's just places across the world to go see and hike at. Next one is The Ultimate Book of Dinosaurs. Yeah. This is a book my grandmother got me when I was 6 and I've held on to it and I'll never get rid of it, and I will be cremated with it. Next is John Lennon, The New York Years. The pictures are really cool and interesting. My mom, this was her book. She gave it to me to I guess to borrow, and I still have it. I should probably give it back. I'm not a fan of him. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a fan of him. Next, this is my mom. It's not even a book, but it's the Paul McCartney World Tour. So she went to the Paul McCartney World Tour, the 1989-1990 World Tour. I have, oh my god, my camera's dying. Oh, I gotta hurry. I have the t-shirt she got from that, and that's also the same t-shirt that Bill wears backwards in the first Mamma Mia, FYI. This is just all about the tour. Such cool photos of him and Linda and the band. This is Paul McCartney and Wings, by the way. Book of Secret Language of Birthdays. It's each day of the year and what it means about your birthday. Led Zeppelin by Led Zeppelin. It's these amazing photos of them throughout the years as a band. And then I also have a bunch of Audrey Hepburn books. So I have this one that's just like 59 Ways to Be More Like Audrey Hepburn. I have Fifth Avenue at 5 a.m. This is essentially about the making of breakfast at Tiffany's. I really found that interesting. Enchantment, this is about her life. Also An Elegant Spirit, that's about her life with pictures. And then I randomly have Zion National Park thrown in there. I gotta move her over here so she's not with Audrey. I have more Audrey Hepburn books, like Audrey Hepburn the 60s, Audrey 100. These are more so just photos. I am, if you can tell, a huge fan of Audrey Hepburn. And then lastly, I just have some journals. That was my bookshelf tour. Live, laugh, love.